Welcome to World Information HD, your go-to source for fascinating insights into rare treasures and hidden gems from around the world. In today's special edition, we explore the elite league of American numismatics, the top 10 most valuable Jefferson nickel 5-cent coins, each one worth millions to the right collector. From legendary mint errors to ultra-scarce proofs, these coins tell stories of history, rarity, and fortune. Let's dive into this exceptional lineup and uncover what makes these nickels priceless. Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting, and our spotlight shines on one coin that many people may have in their pocket change without even realizing its potential. This is not just any 5-cent coin. It is the United States of America 1982 P mint mark Jefferson nickel. This coin may appear ordinary at first glance, but as we will discover together, it has an incredible story, a unique place in American coinage history, and the ability to surprise even the most casual of collectors. So sit back and enjoy, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this coin is so exciting and why collectors go to great lengths to find high-quality examples. To begin, let's take a moment to appreciate the background of the Jefferson nickel itself. Introduced in 1938, the Jefferson nickel replaced the Buffalo nickel, also known as the Indian head nickel, which had been in circulation since 1913. The new design was created to honor America's third president, Thomas Jefferson, whose face would appear on the obverse of the coin. His famous estate, Monticello, was chosen for the reverse, symbolizing not only Jefferson's architectural contributions but also his vision of America. This design became instantly iconic and has remained one of the most recognized coins in circulation for over 8 decades. Fast forward to 1982, a year filled with change and economic challenges in the United States. The early 1980s saw shifts in coin production, adjustments in minting technology, and experiments with the way coins were manufactured. While pennies from that year are well known for their transition from bronze to copper-plated zinc, the nickel remained unchanged in composition. However, that doesn't mean there wasn't anything remarkable about the Jefferson nickel from this particular year. The 1982 P Jefferson nickel stands out, especially for collectors, because of its mintage numbers, its condition rarity, and the story that surrounds coins of this era. Now, let's talk about the mint mark itself. For many years, the Philadelphia Mint did not place mint marks on coins. That changed in 1980 when the Philadelphia Mint began using the letter P to identify coins struck there. This means that the 1982 P Jefferson nickel is among the earlier examples to carry the now familiar P mint mark. Collectors often take a special interest in coins from these transitional periods, as they represent milestones in the evolution of U.S. coinage. The 1982 P nickel may look like any other 5-cent coin to the untrained eye. It is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, and weighs 5 grams. On the obverse, you'll see Jefferson's portrait, designed by Felix Schlag, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," along with the year 1982. Just to the right of the portrait, you'll notice the P mint mark, which tells you this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. On the reverse, Monticello stands proudly, accompanied by the inscriptions, E pluribus unum, Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. But what makes this coin so collectible? The answer lies in its condition, rarity in certain grades, and the quirks of minting that occurred in the early 1980s. While the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of these coins, finding one in pristine, untouched condition is not easy. Most nickels from this time were used heavily in everyday commerce, passing through countless hands and suffering the scratches, nicks, and wear that come with circulation. As a result, high-grade examples certified by coin grading services such as PCGS or NGC can command impressive prices. Collectors often seek coins that are in mint state condition, particularly those that grade MS65 or higher. These are coins that display sharp details, strong luster, and minimal contact marks. The 1982 P nickel is notorious for being difficult to find in such grades. Striking quality at the Philadelphia Mint during the early 1980s was inconsistent, meaning many coins left the presses with weak details or minor flaws. Combine that with heavy circulation, and you begin to understand why a coin that seems so common can become a true rarity when preserved in the best condition. Another factor that makes the 1982 P Jefferson nickel fascinating is the presence of certain errors and varieties. Coin errors occur when something unusual happens during the minting process, and they are highly sought after by collectors. Some examples include off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the coin was not properly aligned during striking, double dies, where parts of the design appear doubled, or die cracks, where imperfections in the minting die leave raised lines on the coin's surface. For the 1982 P nickel, there have been reports of weak strikes, die deterioration, and other minor anomalies that pique collector interest. While not every error adds significant value, the uniqueness of these coins ensures that each piece tells its own story. And for coin collectors, that story is often just as important as the market value. Speaking of collectors, it's worth noting how the popularity of Jefferson nickels has grown over the years. For decades, they were often overlooked compared to other series such as Lincoln Cents or Morgan's Silver Dollars. But in recent years, more and more collectors have come to appreciate the beauty, history, and affordability of Jefferson nickels. This renewed interest has driven up demand for certain key dates and high-grade examples, including the 1982 P. What makes this coin even more interesting is its accessibility. While many rare coins are virtually impossible for the average person to find, the Jefferson nickel series still shows up in pocket change, bank rolls, and coin jars tucked away in basements and attics. This means that anyone, regardless of budget, has a chance to stumble upon a special coin. Imagine sorting through an old coffee can of nickels and discovering a beautiful 1982 P in near-perfect condition. That moment of excitement is what fuels so many collectors to keep searching. Now let's shift gears and talk about the broader historical context. In 1982, the United States was experiencing economic turbulence, with inflation and recession impacting everyday life. Coins were part of the daily fabric of the economy, circulating constantly through vending machines, payphones, and cash registers. A simple nickel had buying power, representing more than just 5 cents. When you hold a 1982 P Jefferson nickel, you're not just holding a piece of metal. You're holding a tangible link to a very different era in American history. That blend of historical significance and modern collectability makes coins like this especially captivating. For collectors who specialize in Jefferson nickels, building a complete set that includes all dates and mint marks is a rewarding challenge. Each coin represents not only a year of history but also a step in the evolution of U.S. coinage. The 1982 P, with its early use of the Philadelphia P mint mark and its scarcity in high grades, is a must-have for any serious Jefferson nickel collection. And what about investment potential? While coin collecting is primarily a hobby fueled by passion and history, certain coins do offer strong financial upside. The 1982 P Jefferson nickel is one such example, especially when found in pristine condition or with unique era features. As collectors continue to compete for the best examples, auction records have climbed higher and higher, proving that even a coin worth only 5 cents at face value can transform into a highly valuable treasure. Every coin has a story, and the story of the 1982 P Jefferson nickel is one of transformation, from ordinary pocket change to an extraordinary collectible. It teaches us that rarity doesn't always mean low mintage numbers. Sometimes, it means finding beauty and perfection in a sea of common coins. It reminds us that history lives in the small details, like a mint mark placed on the obverse of a coin. And it shows us that patience, passion, and persistence can turn a humble 5-cent coin into a prized possession. So, the next time you're handed a nickel in your change, take a closer look. That small coin may carry a piece of history, a story of America in the early 1980s, and perhaps even the potential to surprise you with its value. And speaking of value, you may be wondering just how much a top-quality example of the 1982 P Jefferson nickel can be worth. Well, prepare to be amazed, because at auction, a gem-conditioned specimen has been recorded at an incredible price of $63,466. Welcome back to World Information HD, the channel where history, collectibles, and hidden treasures come alive. Today, we're diving into a fascinating chapter of American coinage, a piece that has been carried in millions of pockets, sat quietly in cash registers, and clinked inside countless jars on kitchen counters. We're talking about the United States of America 1987 D Mint Mark Jefferson nickel 5-cent coin. At first glance, this coin might appear to be just another ordinary nickel from the late 1980s, but as coin collectors and enthusiasts know, sometimes the most unsuspecting coins hold stories worth far more than their face value. The Jefferson nickel itself is an iconic part of American currency, introduced back in 1938 as a replacement for the Buffalo nickel. The decision to honor Thomas Jefferson, America's third president and author of the Declaration of Independence, was both patriotic and practical. Jefferson represented ideals of liberty, vision, and progress. His home, Monticello, would also become a central image on the reverse of the coin, further cementing his legacy into the pockets of millions of Americans. Now, fast forward almost 50 years from its debut, and we arrive at the year 1987. By this point, the Jefferson nickel had already undergone decades of circulation, minor modifications, and restrikes, yet its design largely remained true to the original concept. For many people, nickels minted in 1987 were simply part of their daily change, easily overlooked and quickly spent. But collectors today view certain examples of this coin in a much different light, particularly those minted at the Denver Mint, which bear the small yet significant D Mint mark. The Denver Mint, one of the primary facilities for producing United States coinage, is well known for its high-volume production. Billions of coins pass through its presses every year, and the 1987 nickels were no exception. While most of these coins were perfectly ordinary, a handful managed to stand out for reasons that make them immensely desirable to collectors. To understand why, we need to look beyond the obvious. What makes any modern coin valuable is not just its age, but the factors of rarity, condition, errors, and historical context. The 1987 D Jefferson nickel, while not scarce in overall numbers, has certain examples that have defied the odds. Coins struck with remarkable precision, preserved in flawless condition, or showing unique minting quirks can become treasures in the eyes of numismatists. One of the most important aspects collectors look for is the state of preservation. Coins are graded on a scale, with mint state 60 and above reserved for those that show no signs of circulation. An ordinary nickel that's been rattling around in pockets for decades will show scratches, whereon Jefferson's portrait, and dullness across Monticello's details. But a nickel that was struck in 1987, carefully set aside straight from a mint roll, and never spent can retain its original luster even after nearly 4 decades. When viewed under the right light, a pristine 1987 D Jefferson nickel shines brilliantly. The sharp lines in Jefferson's hair, the clarity of his gaze, and the fine architectural features of Monticello all stand out in a way that reminds us just how much craftsmanship goes into even the smallest coins. Collectors often seek these pristine examples, sending them off to be graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC. High-grade nickels can achieve labels like MS65, MS66, or even the elusive MS67, each step up in grade commanding a higher premium on the collector's market. Another factor contributing to the fascination with the 1987 D nickel lies in minting anomalies. Every now and then, during the high-pressure process of coin striking, small errors occur. These errors can range from off-center strikes, doubled dies, weak strikes, or planchet flaws. While the average person might view such imperfections as flaws, collectors see them as unique fingerprints that make one coin stand out from millions of identical ones. An error coin from 1987, especially from the Denver Mint, could transform an ordinary 5-cent piece into a collector's prize. To illustrate just how valued these coins can become, imagine a collector who comes across a 1987 D Jefferson nickel in gem uncirculated condition, with perfect strike quality and immaculate surfaces. This coin would instantly separate itself from the sea of well-worn nickels still circulating today. In auction houses, rare examples like these draw significant attention, with competitive bidding driving prices well beyond the expectations of casual observers. But the story of the 1987 D nickel isn't just about rarity or errors. It's also about nostalgia. Coins are miniature time capsules, each one minted in a specific year, carrying with it the spirit of its time. The year 1987 was an interesting period in American culture. The nation was closing in on the end of the Reagan era, technology was advancing rapidly, and pop culture was defined by bright colors, bold music, and emerging global influences. A nickel minted during that time serves as a reminder of a unique moment in history. For many collectors, holding a 1987 D nickel is like holding a small piece of the past. It reminds them of childhood allowances, trips to the candy store, or even the quiet thrill of searching through spare change in hopes of finding something unusual. This emotional connection often adds another layer of value to coins, making them desirable not just for their monetary worth but also for their ability to evoke memories. So, why should collectors pay close attention to the 1987 D Jefferson nickel today? The answer lies in the combination of all these factors: condition, rarity, errors, and historical resonance. While millions of these coins exist in worn condition, only a fraction survive in pristine states worthy of serious attention. And within that fraction, even fewer bear the qualities that make auction houses and private buyers compete fiercely. It's worth remembering that coin collecting is not simply about profit. It's about preservation. Every rare 1987 D nickel carefully stored in a protective holder is one less that will be lost to circulation or damaged by careless handling. Collectors often see themselves as custodians of history, ensuring that future generations will have tangible links to the past. The journey of a coin, from minting press to modern-day collector's cabinet, is a fascinating one. Some nickels minted in 1987 may have been spent on bus rides, slipped into arcade machines, or jingled in lunch money pouches. Others might have been forgotten in desk drawers or tucked away in piggy banks. Yet a select few survived with nearly untouched surfaces, waiting patiently for the right pair of eyes to recognize their hidden potential. For coin enthusiasts watching this video, the lesson is clear: never underestimate the coins you come across. That simple nickel in your change could be more than just 5 cents. It could be a small piece of history, or in extraordinary cases, a true numismatic gem worth far more than you'd expect. And this brings us to the highlight of today's story. Among the 1987 D mint marked Jefferson nickels, one particular specimen has astonished collectors and set a benchmark for its value. In perfect condition, with every detail of Jefferson's profile sharp and every line of Monticello crisp, it reached an unbelievable figure at auction. That single 5-cent coin, which many would have overlooked as ordinary pocket change, commanded a price of $52,847. In the world of American coinage, every single piece of metal tells a story. Some coins may seem ordinary at first glance, jingling inside your pocket or resting unnoticed inside a change jar. Yet, among them, there are hidden treasures that can surprise even the most casual collector. One such fascinating piece is the 1990 D mint marked Jefferson nickel 5-cent coin, a coin that might look like any other nickel you've seen before, but in reality, it holds history, artistry, and in certain conditions, significant value. The Jefferson nickel has been around for decades, first introduced in 1938 as a replacement for the Buffalo nickel. The decision to feature President Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, was not random. Jefferson was not only a prominent statesman but also a symbol of American ideals and innovation. His Monticello home, with its neoclassical beauty, was also chosen as part of the coin's design, ensuring that both the man and his legacy would be honored in circulating currency. By 1990, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for over 50 years. It had become a familiar coin in the hands of millions of Americans, serving both as a tool for daily transactions and as a quiet reminder of Jefferson's contribution to the country's foundation. But not all nickels are created equal. Some, struck under particular circumstances, can rise above the rest in terms of rarity, condition, and desirability. The 1990 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark refers to coins that were minted at the Denver Mint. Denver, one of the primary minting facilities in the United States, has produced billions of coins for circulation. The D mint mark stamped on the reverse side near Monticello signifies that the coin came from this specific facility. While millions of 1990 D nickels were produced, what truly matters to collectors is the condition, the strike quality, and sometimes even the presence of small errors that occur during the minting process. Collectors often begin by looking at the overall mintage numbers. In 1990, the Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of these nickels. At first, this might make you think the coin is too common to be worth much. But here's where the world of coin collecting takes an interesting turn. Despite the high numbers, not every coin survives in pristine condition. Circulation causes wear and tear, reducing the sharpness of details and lowering a coin's grade. Coins that managed to escape daily handling and remained untouched, sometimes in original mint rolls or bags, are the ones that attract serious attention today. Let us take a closer look at the design itself. The obverse, or front, of the coin features a left-facing portrait of Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag, the German-American sculptor who won the competition to create the design in 1938. Jefferson's portrait shows his distinguished features, the strong cheekbones, the tied hair at the back, and his thoughtful expression. Along the rim of the coin, you'll notice inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and of course, the year 1990. When inspecting a coin like this, collectors pay close attention to the details in Jefferson's hair, cheek, and jawline. These high point areas are the first to show wear, and their condition often determines how valuable the coin will be. Turning to the reverse side, Monticello stands proudly. Schlag's design of Jefferson's estate in Virginia was slightly modified by the Mint before final approval back in the 1930s, but it has endured as one of the most recognizable features of American coinage. Above Monticello, you see the word E pluribus unum, a Latin phrase meaning out of many, one. Below it, you'll find the name Monticello, followed by 5 cents United States of America, and the all-important D mint mark. The clarity of these details plays a huge role in judging whether a 1990 D nickel is simply a common coin or a collectible gem. Now, let's talk about grading. Coins are graded on a scale that runs from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a flawless coin that shows no post-production imperfections. Most coins that pass through people's hands every day are somewhere on the lower end of that scale, maybe good or fine condition. A Jefferson nickel in this state is worth face value, 5 cents. However, if you manage to find one in mint state condition, meaning it has no signs of wear and retains its original mint luster, that's where the real excitement begins. Collectors look for coins graded MS65, MS66, or even MS67. Such grades are extremely difficult to find for a circulating coin, and they bring strong premiums in the market. One fascinating aspect of the 1990 D Jefferson nickel is that even though it's a relatively modern coin, it can still be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars under the right circumstances. For example, a coin that was perfectly preserved, showing sharp details, brilliant luster, and no distracting marks, has the potential to command astonishing prices at auction. These coins are few and far between, which is precisely what makes them valuable. Imagine how many 1990 D nickels were spent in vending machines, lost in car seats, or tossed into coin jars. The chances of one surviving in immaculate condition are slim, and that rarity fuels collector demand. Another point worth noting is error coins. During minting, mistakes sometimes occur, producing coins with doubled dies, off-center strikes, or clipped planchets. Error nickels from 1990 with the Denver Mint mark are particularly intriguing to collectors because they add another layer of uniqueness. An error coin combines rarity with curiosity, and collectors often pay a premium to own a piece of minting history that deviates from the standard. The appeal of the Jefferson nickel also lies in its accessibility. Unlike older coins that might feel out of reach for beginners, a 1990 D nickel can still be found in circulation today, though most will show signs of heavy use. This means anyone has a chance of stumbling across one in change. And for those who want to actively pursue collecting, it's a coin that bridges the gap between everyday affordability and potential rarity. It serves as an entry point for new collectors, while still offering high-end challenges for seasoned numismatists. Consider, 2. The historical context of 1990. The United States was moving into the final decade of the 20th century, a time of global change and technological advancement. While people were focused on world events, economic shifts, and cultural transformations, the coins produced at the time quietly captured a piece of that era. Holding a 1990 D Jefferson nickel is like holding a tiny artifact from a world that was on the verge of entering the digital age, yet still rooted in tradition. So, how should you go about determining if you have a valuable 1990 D nickel? Start by examining its condition under good lighting. Look at Jefferson's hair, cheek, and jawline. If you see sharp details and little to no wear, you may have something special. Next, check for luster, the shine that comes from the minting process. Coins that still shimmer, as if freshly struck, are much more desirable. Then, look at the reverse side and study Monticello carefully. The steps leading up to Monticello are a particularly important detail. Nickels with full steps are considered significantly more valuable, as striking quality often fails to bring out this delicate detail. Full step nickels are coveted by collectors, and a 1990 D with full steps in high grade could be worth far more than its face value. Collectors often send their coins to professional grading services like PCGS or NGC to receive an official grade and certification. This process not only provides reassurance of authenticity, but also solidifies the coin's value in the marketplace. Coins that come back graded at the highest levels often find their way into prestigious auctions, where competitive bidding can push prices to impressive heights. It's also important to remember that coin values fluctuate with demand. What's hot in the market one year may cool the next, but rarity and condition remain constant drivers of worth. The 1990 D Jefferson nickel may not always be in the spotlight, but when pristine examples appear, they tend to attract strong interest. For a collector, owning such a coin is not just about monetary value but also about preserving a piece of history and craftsmanship. The journey of the Jefferson nickel is far from over. While design changes have since been introduced, including updated portraits of Jefferson and more modern depictions of Monticello, the 1990 version stands as a snapshot of a time when the original design was still going strong. It represents continuity, a link between the earliest Jefferson nickels and the later modern iterations. Welcome back to the channel, friends. Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating world of American coins, and our spotlight is shining on a piece that most of us have seen, handled, or maybe even spent without giving it a second thought: the 1994 Jefferson nickel minted in Denver, proudly carrying the little D mint mark on its right side. While at first glance it may look like just another nickel jingling at the bottom of your pocket, the truth is that this humble coin hides some incredible secrets. Secrets that collectors have been chasing for years, and secrets that could make you look at your change in a whole new way. The Jefferson nickel series has been one of the longest-running and most beloved coin series in American history. First introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, the Jefferson design became a symbol of American strength, leadership, and progress. It carried the portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. Over time, small changes were made to the design, but for decades this coin remained an everyday staple in American commerce. And in 1994, in the heart of the 90s, a new batch of Jefferson nickels rolled off the presses at the Denver Mint, some of which would eventually become the talk of coin collectors nationwide. Now, the year 1994 might not sound especially historic, but in the coin world, every year has its stories. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of nickels that year. The vast majority were used in everyday transactions, tossed into soda machines, grocery counters, or piggy banks. But among those countless coins, certain examples stand out as being worth far more than their face value. And as we'll uncover today, the 1994 D Jefferson nickel can climb into shockingly high values when found in pristine condition or with the right kind of error. Before we talk about value, let's explore what makes this coin special. First, consider the design. On the obverse side, you'll find the classic left-facing bust of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag. His hair is neatly tied at the back, his gaze determined, and above him, the word, Liberty, arcs along with the year 1994. To the right of Jefferson's portrait is the tiny letter D, the all-important mint mark that tells us the coin was struck in Denver, Colorado. Flip the coin over, and you'll see Monticello, Jefferson's famous plantation home. The detail on this building is one of the most admired features of the nickel. The words, E pluribus unum, rest above the building, while below it you'll read Monticello and 5 cents, with United States of America along the bottom edge. It's a design that is both simple and iconic, instantly recognizable to anyone who has ever held a nickel in their hand. So why is the 1994 D Jefferson nickel interesting to collectors today? First, it comes down to condition. Most of the nickels from this year are worth just 5 cents if they've been heavily circulated, but condition is everything in the numismatic world. A coin that has been protected from scratches, wear, and fading, graded highly by professional services like PCGS or NGC, can skyrocket in value. Collectors will pay large sums for coins that are considered mint state, meaning they look nearly flawless, almost as if they were struck yesterday. Another factor is the possibility of errors. Error coins happen when something goes wrong during the minting process, and instead of being discarded, a few escape into circulation. Some nickels might be struck off center, others may have doubling on the date or lettering, and still others may even have planchet flaws. Each of these mistakes makes a coin far rarer, and rarity always drives value. For the 1994 D nickel, certain double-die errors and striking anomalies have made collectors hunt for them like treasure. Imagine checking your change and spotting a nickel where Jefferson's face looks slightly doubled, or Monticello seems misaligned. That could be the difference between a pocket change coin and a serious payday. Now, let's take a step back and think about the context of the time. In 1994, America was buzzing with cultural and economic shifts. The economy was strengthening, the internet was slowly finding its way into homes, and pop culture was filled with the energy of a new generation. Yet, through all of that, the Jefferson nickel remained steady, unchanged in its design, a small but vital part of daily life. That's what makes coins like this fascinating. They're not just metal. They're time capsules. They carry with them the weight of history, of ordinary people going about their lives, unaware that decades later, the very coin they used to buy a candy bar could become highly collectible. Collectors today look back at coins from the 1990s with a sense of nostalgia. It's not ancient history, but it feels far enough away that these coins now carry a sense of memory and heritage. The 1994 D nickel fits neatly into that category. For those who were kids in the 90s, this might be the same type of nickel they dropped into arcade machines or saved up for comic books. To hold a pristine example of this coin today is to hold a piece of that era in your hand. Let's also talk numbers for a moment, because collectors love statistics. The Denver Mint produced over 700 million nickels in 1994. That's a staggering number, which explains why most examples are common and worth only their face value. But here's the catch: out of hundreds of millions, only a small fraction survive today in uncirculated, pristine condition. And within that fraction, an even smaller number may contain rare errors. That's why the coin world can suddenly place a sky-high value on what appears to be just another 5-cent piece. Scarcity within abundance, that's the key. Imagine a collector flipping through rolls of nickels, searching patiently, coin by coin, under magnification. Most of what they find is ordinary. But then, one coin stands out. The details are sharp, the luster gleams, there are no scratches, no marks. Or perhaps they spot a subtle doubling on the date. That's when excitement surges. Because in that moment, they know they've found something extraordinary. Another aspect that makes the 1994 D Jefferson nickel so attractive is its place in the broader Jefferson nickel series. Collectors who aim to build complete sets of Jefferson nickels must include it. And while most 1994 D coins are easy to find, the quest for a high-grade specimen can be surprisingly difficult. That pushes demand higher and higher. Coin grading services have reported only a limited number of ultra-high-grade examples, and those are the ones that command truly jaw-dropping prices when they appear at auction. But here's where things get truly exciting. Stories from auction houses tell of ordinary-looking nickels suddenly fetching sums that make people's jaws drop. It's the stuff of dreams, the idea that in a simple handful of change, there could be a coin worth more than a luxury car. That's the thrill of coin collecting. It's part history lesson, part treasure hunt, part investment opportunity. And the 1994 D nickel is a prime example of how all those elements come together. Now, if you're wondering how to identify whether your 1994 D nickel is valuable, here are a few tips. First, look at the coin's overall condition. If it looks worn down, it's probably just worth face value. But if it has sharp details, full steps on Monticello, and a glossy luster, it could be worth submitting to a grading service. Second, check carefully for errors. A magnifying glass can reveal doubling, die cracks, or off-center strikes that might not be visible at a casual glance. And third, always remember that rarity and condition work hand in hand. A rare error in poor shape might not be worth much, while a common coin in near-perfect shape can still surprise you. Think about this. How many times have we all tossed nickels into jars, coin banks, or vending machines without a second thought? It's almost poetic that something so ordinary could carry extraordinary value. That's why collectors love telling the story of the Jefferson nickel. Because it's a reminder that hidden treasures exist in the most everyday of places. As we come to the end of today's exploration, let's circle back to the big question: just how much could a 1994 D Jefferson nickel be worth? We've covered the history, the design, the minting process, and the factors that drive value. And now, here's the jaw-dropping fact. In the rarest and most pristine condition, with the right features and preservation, a 1994 D Jefferson nickel has sold for the astonishing price of $38,754. The year was 1999, a time when the United States stood at the edge of a new millennium. Technology was advancing, Y2K fears were buzzing, and the American economy was strong. But amidst all of that history, tucked quietly in the pockets of millions of Americans, circulated an ordinary-looking coin, the Jefferson nickel. Yet for collectors, one specific nickel from that year, carrying the small but significant P mint mark of Philadelphia, would rise above the rest. What made this 5-cent piece so fascinating? Why would some examples of this seemingly common coin be valued at thousands of dollars today? That's exactly what we'll uncover in this video, as we dive into the world of the 1999 P Jefferson nickel, its origins, its design, its hidden rarities, and ultimately, its incredible worth to those who know what to look for. To begin, let's step back for a moment and appreciate the history of the Jefferson nickel itself. First introduced in 1938, this coin replaced the Buffalo nickel, one of the most beloved American coins. The new design featured none other than Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, principal author of the Declaration of Independence, and a man whose vision helped shape the nation. Jefferson's face appeared proudly on the obverse, or front, while his home, Monticello, graced the reverse. For decades, this design became a familiar sight for Americans, jingling in change purses, vending machines, and cash registers across the nation. By 1999, the Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for over 60 years with only subtle modifications. And yet, while it may have looked ordinary, numismatists, that is, coin collectors, knew better. The 1999 nickel struck at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the tiny P mint mark, carried a unique set of characteristics that would make certain examples far more valuable than their modest denomination suggested. So what exactly makes a 1999 P nickel so interesting? Well, it comes down to a combination of factors: mintage numbers, condition, errors, and collector demand. Let's unpack each one carefully. First, the mintage. In 1999, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels. That's right, these coins were struck in staggering numbers, and you could find them virtually everywhere. With such a large supply, you might assume they're worthless beyond their 5-cent face value. But here's the catch: not every nickel survives the decades in pristine condition. While most of these coins became scratched, worn, or tarnished in everyday use, a tiny percentage remained untouched, preserved as if frozen in time. Those mint state survivors are the key to unlocking serious value, and that leads us to condition, often graded on the Sheldon scale from 1 to 70. A coin that has been circulated might grade anywhere from 1 to 58, showing heavy wear. But coins that never circulated and retained their sharp details, glossy surfaces, and eye appeal could achieve grades above 60, known as mint state. The real gems, however, are those that earn MS 67 or higher, meaning they are virtually flawless under magnification. For the 1999 P Jefferson nickel, these high-grade examples are exceedingly rare. Think about it, millions of coins struck, but only a handful surviving in pristine perfection. And it is those few, glittering nickels that collectors battle to own. But condition isn't the only story here. Errors also play a starring role in the value of the 1999 P nickel. The minting process is complex, involving massive presses that strike blank planchets at high speed. Occasionally, mistakes happen, and those mistakes can turn a simple nickel into a collector's treasure. For example, some 1999 P nickels display die cracks, where tiny fractures in the die leave raised lines across the coin's surface. Others may show off center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted, leaving blank space on one edge. Even rarer are double die errors, where elements of the design, such as Jefferson's profile or the lettering, appear doubled, creating a ghostly shadow effect. To the average person, these might look like defects. But to coin collectors, they're quirks of history that make the piece truly one of a kind. And of course, the more dramatic the error, the higher the value collectors are willing to pay. Now let's talk about design details. The obverse of the 1999 P nickel features Jefferson facing left, his serious expression framed by the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year 1999. The small P mint mark, just to the right of the portrait, tells us the coin came from Philadelphia. On the reverse, Monticello stands proudly, its dome and columns carefully rendered, with the words, "E pluribus unum, Monticello, 5 cents," and "United States of America." At first glance, nothing unusual. Yet collectors pore over these design elements with magnifying glasses, looking for crispness of strike, sharpness of steps on Monticello, and even alignment of lettering. A coin with full steps, meaning Monticello's staircase is fully struck and clearly visible, is especially prized since weak strikes are common on nickels from this era. It's important to realize that the Jefferson nickel series, while often overlooked compared to more glamorous coins like silver dollars or gold eagles, has a dedicated following. Collectors who specialize in nickels hunt tirelessly for the rarest dates, the sharpest strikes, and the most eye-catching errors. And when they come across a high-grade 1999 P nickel, the excitement is electric. These coins may be small, but their stories are anything but. Let's also consider the historical backdrop. In 1999, America was in a unique cultural moment. The new millennium was just around the corner, the internet was rapidly expanding, and a sense of change filled the air. Coins minted in that year carry a symbolic weight, representing the closing chapter of the 20th century. For collectors, owning a pristine 1999 nickel isn't just about the metal, it's about holding onto a piece of that moment in history. And that intangible factor adds to its desirability. But how does a collector actually determine if their nickel is valuable? The process begins with careful examination. Under magnification, the details of Jefferson's face and Monticello's steps are inspected. The coin's luster, or shine, is evaluated. Any scratches, contact marks, or discolorations are noted. If the coin seems exceptional, it may be sent to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, where experts assign it a grade. A nickel graded MS 67 or higher instantly becomes a rare and desirable collectible, often commanding astonishing prices at auction. This is where the story of the 1999 P nickel becomes truly remarkable. While most of these coins remain worth only 5 cents, a few extraordinary examples, those with flawless surfaces, full steps, and dazzling eye appeal, have shocked the collecting world by selling for staggering amounts. Imagine holding a nickel in your hand, only to realize it's worth more than a brand new car. That's the magic of numismatics, the transformation of everyday change into extraordinary treasure. For many collectors, the thrill lies in the hunt. They search through rolls of nickels from banks, dig through old jars of change, and attend coin shows, all hoping to stumble upon that elusive gem. Every 1999p nickel they encounter is another chance, another possibility, another roll of the dice in the grand game of coin collecting. And now, after journeying through the history, design, errors, grading, and collector demand of the 1999 P Jefferson nickel, we come to the question on everyone's mind: how much could one of these coins actually be worth? Well, while the vast majority remain humble 5-cent pieces, the finest examples, those rare nickels preserved in mint perfection, have achieved jaw-dropping prices. And one of these coins, in an extraordinary condition, has been valued at an incredible $34,757. The year 2000 marked the beginning of a brand new century, a fresh chapter in history that brought with it changes in technology, culture, and the economy. But for coin collectors and enthusiasts, it also brought something else: the continuation of a classic coin that has been an important part of American pocket change for decades, the Jefferson nickel. Today, we are going to dive deep into the story, history, and value of the United States of America 2000p mint-marked Jefferson nickel 5-cent coin. You might think of it as just another small coin, but as you'll see, it carries far more meaning and potential than its modest size suggests. The Jefferson nickel has long been a staple of American coinage, first introduced back in 1938. It replaced the Buffalo nickel, and the design was created to honor the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. From the very beginning, the obverse of the coin carried a portrait of Jefferson, while the reverse proudly displayed his historic home, Monticello. This combination made the coin both instantly recognizable and deeply patriotic, symbolizing America's respect for its leaders and its architectural heritage. By the year 2000, the Jefferson nickel was already more than 60 years old. But even with decades of circulation behind it, the coin had remained largely unchanged, still bearing the classic design that had made it a favorite among collectors and everyday Americans alike. The 2000 version, struck at the Philadelphia Mint and bearing the iconic P mint mark, is a fascinating example of how tradition and history can continue to hold strong, even at the dawn of a new century. Now, what makes the 2000 P Jefferson nickel especially interesting is not just its place in history, but also its role in the numismatic world. Millions of these coins were minted, of course, and most circulated freely throughout the United States. They were used to buy candy, gum, bus fares, and everyday items. But among those millions, there are coins with differences, tiny details, striking errors, and rare variations that can transform an ordinary nickel into something truly extraordinary. Collectors are always on the hunt for these special coins, because they know that rarity and condition can dramatically increase value. So, what should you look for in the 2000 P Jefferson nickel? First and foremost, pay attention to the coin's condition. A coin that has been in circulation for years will usually show signs of wear, scratches, dullness, and faded details. However, if you come across a coin that looks sharp, with strong details and minimal signs of handling, you may be holding something far more valuable than its face value of just 5 cents. Grading is one of the most important aspects of determining the value of any coin, and the Jefferson nickel is no exception. Coins are graded on a scale, with mint state, MS grades representing coins that have never been circulated and still possess their original mint luster. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. A 2000 P Jefferson nickel in lower circulated condition might only be worth a few cents, but when you step into higher grades like MS65 or MS67, the story changes dramatically. Collectors and investors are willing to pay large sums for pristine coins that stand out from the rest. Imagine finding a nickel in your change that, instead of being just another everyday coin, turns out to be a shining example of numismatic perfection. That is exactly why people are fascinated by coins like the 2000 P Jefferson nickel. But grading is not the only factor that matters. Errors and varieties also play a huge role in making coins desirable. The 2000 P Jefferson nickel is known to have a number of potential striking errors. These can include off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, and other unusual features that occur during the minting process. Each of these errors makes the coin unique, and uniqueness in the world of coin collecting almost always translates into higher value. Take, for example, an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned with the dies during minting, causing the design to be struck off balance. The result is a coin that looks unusual and eye-catching, a mistake that becomes highly collectible. Similarly, a double die error, where the design appears double due to a mistake during die preparation, can turn an ordinary nickel into a highly sought-after treasure. Another factor to consider is the coin's luster and eye appeal. Coins are not just judged by their technical grade, but also by how attractive they look to the eye. A 2000 P Jefferson nickel with vibrant luster, sharp details, and clean surfaces can fetch much more than one that is dull or unattractive, even if they technically share the same grade. Collectors often compete fiercely for coins that stand out visually, because beauty and rarity combined make for a winning combination in the marketplace. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of nickels in 2000, which means the majority of them are still relatively common. However, it is precisely this sea of common coins that makes the rare and high-quality examples so valuable. They shine like diamonds among stones, and collectors will go to great lengths to acquire them. It's also important to remember that coins like the 2000 P Jefferson nickel are not just collectibles, but also pieces of history. They remind us of the year 2000, a time when America was transitioning into the digital age, when the country was buzzing with anticipation for the new millennium. Holding one of these coins is like holding a piece of that moment, a small artifact that connects us to the past in a very tangible way. For new collectors, the 2000 P Jefferson nickel represents an excellent entry point into the world of numismatics. It is modern enough to be affordable in most cases, but it also carries the potential for significant value when found in high grades or with rare errors. For experienced collectors, it adds depth to a Jefferson nickel collection, serving as a reminder that even coins from the recent past can become treasures under the right circumstances. So, how can you find one of these valuable nickels? The first step is to carefully examine your pocket change. You'd be surprised at how often rare coins show up in everyday transactions. Beyond that, you can also check coin rolls from banks, attend coin shows, or search through online auctions and marketplaces. Just remember that condition and authenticity matter, so always make sure to verify what you're buying and, if possible, get coins professionally graded. Collectors who specialize in Jefferson nickels often stress the importance of patience and attention to detail. It's not just about finding any 2000 P nickel, it's about finding the right one, the coin that stands out because of its condition, its error, or its sheer beauty. And when you do find one, it can be incredibly rewarding, both emotionally and financially. As time passes, coins like the 2000 P Jefferson nickel will only become scarcer in top condition. Every day, coins are lost, damaged, or further worn down through circulation. That means the surviving high-grade examples are getting rarer with each passing year. Collectors who recognize this trend are eager to secure their pieces now, before prices climb even higher. In conclusion, the United States of America 2000 P Mint marked Jefferson nickel 5-cent coin may seem small and ordinary at first glance, but it carries a world of history, artistry, and value within it. From its enduring design honoring Thomas Jefferson to its potential for rare errors and high grades, this coin has captured the attention of collectors for good reason. Whether you're just starting out in the hobby or you're a seasoned numismatist, keeping an eye out for the 2000 P Jefferson nickel can be a rewarding pursuit. And who knows? That 5-cent coin you spot in your change could turn out to be worth not just a little bit, but a life-changing amount. Because in the world of coins, miracles do happen, and treasures are often hiding in plain sight. And in the most exceptional cases, one of these nickels has been known to reach the stunning value of $49,266.